Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Phil,
I'm James.
And I'm Derek.
and today we have a very special guest on the show on Time for Anything today. We have our friend Andre,
Hey guys, what's up?
who has his own podcast, which is Conversations with Andre and Friends.
Yeah, it's called A Conversation with Andre and Friends. This podcast, thank you for having me, first of all.
Yeah,
Thanks.
this is great to have you here. This is awesome.
So basically, I'm just going to talk about, I'm 22 years old. I'm studying to be a toxicology major at Westchester, graduating hopefully in a year or so. But I started doing podcasts, I think 3 or 4 months. Well, I had the idea in my head for years and years and years. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And if the people don't like it, I don't care. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So in my podcast, I basically talk about almost anything. I'm really open about everything, and I get a group of my friends, my closest friends, who impacted my life, or someone who has a different opinion about something, and then we try to not discuss, not fight about it, but actually have a civil conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a debate.
Yeah, an organized debate, and then I'm people's stories, when they come in, and things I didn't know about the person was people are crazy. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about you, but I've been friends with you for 4+ years.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's crazy, and I'm like, okay. But yeah, basically that's what my podcast is. It's it's a array of topics that I just love to talk about, and I'm really passionate about.
So almost every episode's an interview, essentially.
Yeah.
You're saying, this is me coming together with someone that I know, and we're going to talk about this topic. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool because it helps you connect with people that you never really connected with before.
I connected with a lot of people, grammar, that I didn't even know, I had a close relationship. The first episode was about critical race theory, and that was with my my boy Mike, because we had the same class in Penn State, and then we were like, yo, let's talk about this more. And I was like, okay, let me just throw a podcast, and then we were talk about it, and then I learned more things about Mike than I never heard before, and I was like, wow, I'm really enjoying it. And then the next episode, I got people talking about mental health, which we're gonna get more into that, but and then the third and fourth episode, which my favorite two episodes, is finding yourself in your lowest point in your life, and that's with my best friend Anthony, and he told me things that only you have car conversation at 2 a.m, but he opened up, and I was like, wow, you really letting this all out here for everybody to listen, and that really was eye opening. And I love just talking about everything about a person. I really want to get to know you before I can call you a friend. Not in a mean way, but I just want to get to know you.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I think your podcast definitely aligns with ours in the sense that we're trying to uncover the depth of humanity. We're trying to understand each other more and understand the world around us at a deeper level. And I really appreciate that you're doing that with people. I think it's a good message to spread, especially in these times, that we are different, but in a lot of ways the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And we should be able to put, we'll put the name of your podcast in the description so people know that. And it should be on the episode page. We can link it right there. So timeforanything.com. Should be able to head over to the episode. Boom, right there.
I'll make sure our socials also have the link for your podcast as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Boom, easy fun. Right there, right to Andre's stuff.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So what are we talking about today? James?
Well,
I believe the main topic is mental health, specifically among different races and different cultures, which is, you don't really think about the differences in how race and culture can affect your mental health. I think it's a pretty blaring distinction. Somebody in a different culture will have different difficulties and struggling in a different way than somebody else, but you don't really get into it and think about, well, what's the cause, and how do you rectify it, if there even is a way.
There's a lot of causes.
Yeah, there are. There's a lot. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just kind of want to read this thing. So I just did a super quick Google search just to get this basic thing. So I Googled mental health in different races. And just the first thing that popped up with Google was from a psychiatry.org site, so who knows. But the snippet that it said from it is, quote, people who identify as being 2 or more races, in parentheses 24.9%, are most likely to report any mental illness within the past year than any other race or ethnic group, followed by American/Indian, Alaska Natives as 22.7%, white at 19%, and black at 16.8%. So, yeah, I guess it just seems that if you're coming from a place where you almost have like 2 different cultures coming into play, your quote-unquote mixed race, it could be difficult for you.
Do you guys know the rapper, I don't think he is active anymore, but Logic?
Yes.
I've heard it.
Logic.
Half
Jeez.
white, half black.
Half white, half black.
A lot of his songs talked about how it was hard for him because he didn't fit in with the black kids and he didn't fit in with the white kids. And so maybe this has a similar thing behind it, right?
It's possible, yeah.
It took me a couple years to actually find that out. Like I didn't know off the bat like that Logic was half white and half black.
He was literally saying that in all his songs.
I know. Well, I don't listen to him as well.
Like literally,
That's-
like half of his. That's like the meme of his his fans. He's like like Logic.
Oh, they
Okay,
always make fun of how he
like
talks
like
about
like
so
no,
much.
we're like we get it. You're half black. You're half white. All right,
Yeah.
we're good. Like,
Yeah.
you're good. But like with that, like as someone who grew up as like a Spanish household. And like also like a black household as well. Like my mom is Spanish, my dad is black, and I was like, oh, like I don't know how to react because like my older brother is fine, my younger brother's fine, and then like I'm the middle child, so like you know the stigma, like middle child gets no love. Like who are you guys? Like who are you again?
Yeah.
Like hey, I'm like my mom's son. Like hello, but like just opening it up to my mom about like my depression and all that. Like it took me a while because like senior year of high school, I didn't know if you guys know this, but like I was like in a serious like committed relationship, and then I left. Then she left, and then I was like, okay, that's fine. It happens. Like people leave for a reason.
Right.
And then I got into college, like first year of college, and I was like, and then my mom moved to New York, and like I had to force myself to move into the dorms, and I didn't want to. But it was like kind of hard because I was like, yo, like I don't understand any of this. Like I don't like first in the family to go to college. First of all, I was like, that's already stress in the body.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds...
It's super stressed. The middle child who's going to college, and I was like, whoa, okay. Second, I didn't know you had to renew FAFSA every year, so I didn't know that was a thing.
Right.
So like when spring semester came, I was like, they're like, hey, we didn't get your FAFSA. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, you got to renew it. I was like, what? I'm like, okay, when is it due? Like, can I renew it now? They're like, yeah, it's due like it was due 3 weeks ago. I was like, now you're telling me this?
Right.
You don't have anyone to teach you this because
exactly.
no one in your family's gonna... Yeah,
No. And so like, I'm like,
all on your own.
I was like, whoa, what? And they're like, yeah, so give us $9,000. I was like, I can't make up that money. My mom doesn't make enough money. Like, I got a scholarship, but like, I was like, it didn't cover that much. I was like, what do I do? Oh, yeah, you could just take out a loan. I was like, okay, let me take out a loan. It doesn't seem that hard.
Yeah.
Take out a loan. And I'm like, okay, my mom, we got proof and all that. And I was like, so now what? They're like, okay, now you keep going schooling. And then I was like, so when I renew my FAFSA, does like my scholarship stays the same? And they're like, no, you had to maintain a GPA. I was like, why is no one telling me this now? Like, they're like, oh, they should have told you this. Like, don't you have any family members who go to college? I was like, no, I'm first generation to go to college and everything. And I was just like down in the dumps. I was like in my dorm, like my roommate already left for the semester. And I'm just sitting there like, yo, I just want to drop out. I cannot do this. Like, I am not sleeping well. I'm not eating well. And like all this. And I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I can't do this. Like, I am flipping out. I am stressed out at all my means. I think I'm just going to drop out of school. And she's like, you can't do that. I was like, why can I not do that? And she's like, you're not doing it just for me. You're doing it for yourself.
That's super important.
I was like, and because always time, like in high school, I was like, all right, I'm going to be second. I am the second in my family to graduate high school, too. Because it's my older brother and then me. And then I was like, okay. And then my mom was like, okay. During graduation, like, high school graduation, my mom came up. She's like, okay, I'm not going to be this is not the only diploma you're going to get. Like, I'm going to see you walk across that stage. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this for you. And I had the mindset, okay, this is for you, this is for you, this is for you, this is for you.
Yeah.
I never put it for myself. And then, like, when she told me, like, listen, you might be doing this for me and everybody else in the family, but you got to realize, if it's not comfortable for you, just stop.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. Mom hitting me with the hard quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all in Spanish. I'm just translating in English, so, like, you can get a better understanding. But I was like, okay. So I killed it the second year, and then I took, and then something happened in the family that kind of, like, hurt. Like, my uncle passed away. So I was like, okay, like, that's, like, my best friend. Like he used to help me fix cars and all of that. Like, and I was like, okay, like, I can't do this. So I took a step back. And then, like, I opened up to my mom. I was like, Mom, I am depressed. Like, I cannot do this. I don't want to do anything. I am losing my motivation of everything. And, like, my mom understood. And she was like, yeah, I understand. Like, you look like you haven't slept in, like, 6 days. I'm like, well, yeah, that comes with a major. Like, a STEM major life is, like, you don't sleep. That's the joke. But, like,
Always working.
always working. And, like, and I was like, oh, okay. And, like, I opened up. I was like, okay, I want to tell the family this. I want to tell my side of the family this. I told, like, it was like a big gathering in my grandma's house. And my mom was like, all right, Andre has something to say. I was like, oh, we're doing this now. Like, oh, I have no real, like, I'm like panicking. I'm like hyperventilating.
Yeah.
And then I was like, guys, I'm sad. And then, like, my uncles, because, you know, in, like, Spanish culture, you're supposed to be, like, man up.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get sad. And, like, if you cry about your girl, you're basically your baby. So I was like, yo, I'm sad. I can't do this. And, like, my uncle in the background was like, then stop being such a little baby. I'm like, stop being sad. I was like, I can't help it. And, like, I started flipping out on him. And then he's like, I don't see the problem. Like, why are you sad? I was like, it's so much stress in my body. I cannot handle that. And, like, my aunt, who's like a second mother than me, she pulled me to the side and she's like, I need you to calm down because you're, like, ripping a new one into your uncle. And, like, he doesn't like that. I was like, well, he should understand. Like, this is a new generation. Like, people get depressed. And, like, people need to make it more often. And then when I told my dad, like, everybody in the family now, like, checks up on me. But it's kind of annoying now. It's like, it's like, hey, you okay? You ate? I'm like, yes. Yep. All right, I got it. Okay, good. Like, get away from me. But when I opened up to my dad, that was, like, the hardest thing because my dad is, like, real old school traditional. Like, from the island, Jamaica, he's like, people don't get depressed. Men don't get depressed. Stop being so sad. Man up. So I told him, and he's like, then you're not my son anymore. I was like,
dude,
what?
Whoa. Like, and that hit me. I was like, whoa, okay. I'm opening up to you about everything. And it took me a while, and I told my mom, and my mom was like, you can't change your dad's opinion. And, like, my mom and dad are not together. But, like,
okay.
And I was like, yo, my own dad doesn't even support me. How do I feel about that? And I told him again, I was like, Dad, I am your son. You gave birth, you gave, like, half of the, like, you played your role to give birth to me. And I was like, you got to understand, your son is upset, and I can't do this. Like, I almost took my own life when he said that. I was like, yo, come on, man.
Like, because the person who brought you into this world rejects you.
He rejects you. And he was like, why are you sad? I was like, school, life, and, like, relationships at the time. Because I was dating a girl for 1 year. That relationship ended messy. School was not going so hard because, like, my uncle had passed away. And, like, I was falling back. Got suspended from Penn State. So, like, they're like, okay, you got to leave. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it just feels like everything's going
Everything is just going downhill. And I was like,
right.
And then my dad hit me with that. And I was like, yo, what? My own dad told me that? And I was like, okay. And, like, I took it initially to find myself my own psychiatrist, pay it out of my own pocket, take out my own meds and all that. And he's like, why you need the meds? You don't need all this. Like, X, Y, and Z. I was like, Dad, you don't understand. Like, other people are not you.
Yeah.
Me. Like, yes, I do have some of your facial features and everything, but I am not you.
Mm-hmm.
I am my own person. And, like, it took him until, like, last year, which is 2020 and 2019, to realize, like, okay, you are depressed. I'm like, yes. He's like, this is where, okay. And I apologize for what I said. I'm like, okay, apology accepted. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, if you want to talk about it. And so I talked about it. And then, like, I cried in front of his shoulder. And, like, he's like, just let it out. Just let it all out. Because and at the end of the day, I will support you. And that got me. And I was like, okay, we're good now.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't call me, but he does, like, the annual checkup. Hey, you good? I text him. Yeah, I'm at work. Really, really dragging work right now. He's like, okay, bye. I was like, hey.
Hey, I mean, it just sounds like during that time, you just felt incredibly isolated from everything because there's nobody who can understand you. And I think that's a common feeling among people in that situation. I appreciate you sharing that.
Oh, yeah, no.
I appreciate you sharing that. Just like you said in the beginning, like, in a matter of minutes, I've learned so much more about you than I ever knew, and I really respect that, and your perseverance as well. I also went through a similar thing. It wasn't so much a collision of cultures. It was more, and we read this in the or at least on the Wikipedia page that you sent me, socioeconomic status. So I mean, I'm white. Like, both my parents are white, but my dad suffers from addiction. He has, like, all of my life and a few years before that, and it's always been tough to just not have the support from my father that I want. And oftentimes, even though my mother is there for me every step of the way, like, she's by my side, and I am so grateful. You feel like you're missing something.
Yeah, it's like a part of your life onto that. Like, I love when you say that because, like, Phil knows. I lived with my mom like the whole high school. James knows. You should know.
Yeah.
Like Phil
right
was
across
like
the street from
right,
Phil.
Yeah, right across the street.
We all grew up
And
together,
my mom loved Phil. Like, she's like, oh, how's Phil? Like, he's good and all that. And, like, it's like, and, like, I didn't have, like, a father figure growing up. Well, I did, because my dad was not, like, a deadbeat.
Yeah.
He was, like, he was there.
He was there, but
emotionally, I was, like,
detached.
Dad. Like,
Yeah.
I needed a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's why I, like, clinged on, like, certain people as my best friend, like Javier. Like, I see him, like, as, like, a father figure, but also, like, an older brother as well.
Right.
Like, I do have an older brother, but, like, I have him as, like, my, like, second in command.
Yeah.
And
he's
feels
guided you.
great because, like, he lives in Philadelphia, but, like, he does, like, we talk, and then, like, we might not talk for a week, but, like, every time we talk, it's, like, it's always the joy.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even talk about, like, how's work, because he works at, like, the same company as I do, but at Philadelphia. And we talk about work, how much we hate it, how much we just want to walk out. But, like, it's so great to have, like, and now I rekindle a relationship with my dad, and I love it, because now I have that father figure I needed in my life.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, if you need anything, just call me. I was like, whoa, wait, what? Like, these words are coming out of your mouth? Like, Richard, what?
Richard.
And he's like, yeah. I was like, but it's not Richard, it's Dad. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I mean, the redemption is great. And it seems like your dad has registered that, hey, like, even if culturally I was taught one thing about how a man should be, this is my son, and I'm not giving that up for anything or anyone, including culture. Yeah. And I love culture because it's expression at its finest. It's individuality at its finest. But at the same time, you as an individual have your own right to life and your own right to happiness, and culture doesn't define that.
Yeah. I really, like, exactly what Andre just said a few minutes ago. Like, on point with the premise of the episode. Like your culture made you more depressed in a way.
It's the traditions.
It's the tradition. Yeah.
It goes against tradition to be depressed.
I hate that so much.
Yeah. I think that is slowly
What a silly
changing.
tradition.
It's so dumb because, like, I know my cousins are depressed, but, like, their dad doesn't want to talk to them. Like, at, like, the New Year's Eve party we had, like, I had my cousins here.
Yeah.
Like, my cousin was just chilling in the corner. And, you know, when you're chilling in the corner, you kind of just want to stay isolated from no one. So I went up to him. And I was like, yo, cuz, you're good? He's like, yeah. I was like, I'd be honest with me, bro. Like, I pulled him to, like, outside. I was like, yo, let's just take a drive.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to Frank Ocean. Let's take a drive.
Yeah.
Let's take a drive.
White throat.
Yeah. And then I'm like, yo, are you depressed? He's like, how do you know? I was like, bro, I can see in your eyes, bro. Like, you just want to, like, release something out.
Yeah.
And, like, it's okay to be sad. Like, I understand your dad might be hard on you because, like, he's really smart. He's a civil engineer and, like, he's studying to be that. But, like, he dropped out. He's like, I can't do this. It's not for me. Like, this is not my path. Like, I want to do something that I'm passionate about, which was working on cars. Like, and he's like, yeah, I didn't tell my dad I dropped out of, like, school.
Wow.
And I'm like, you gotta tell him tonight. He's like, what you mean tonight? I was like, listen, you gotta tell him tonight, because one, everybody in the family is there, so he's not gonna murder you on the spot. Second, I will support you 100%, because, like, I was in the same situation when I wanted to drop out, because I was not happy with it. So he was like, okay, let's do it. I was like, okay. So, like, 11:30 hits, and I was like, hey, Eric has something to say to the family. I did the same thing what my mom did. and like, I turned off the speaker. Everybody turns around to Eric, and it was like, Eric? And he was like, I dropped out of school. And everyone was like, what? And, like, he starts opening up, and everything just comes out, and, like, he's tearing up. And, like, his dad gets up, and I'm like, oh. I'm like, okay. I'm ready to, like, push him down and everything. Like, and his dad walks up to him. I'm like, all right. I'm in the back. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Like, how I'm going to attack him. Put him away.
Like, what's it going to be?
And his dad, like, hugs him. And he's like, I understand. I was like,
man, that's nice.
Oh, that hit.
That is nice.
That hit. And he's like, you don't have to do you don't have to live my dream. You have to live your own. I was like,
yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I think that as much as I enjoy law, so I'm a legal studies major, graduating this spring, and as much as I enjoy studying law and especially the philosophy behind it, there were certain things that happened in my life that just, I can't go into law enforcement anymore with a clear mind. Like, I've experienced firsthand within my family the corruption that exists within law enforcement. And I'm not saying that all law enforcement is corrupt, but the structure of it allows for corruption, and it does take place on a daily basis. And it decimated my family. But just to see what it did to my family and how low we got really brought us closer, because that's all we had. Like 2 years ago, like my family, it was everything because we had nothing. And it was a difficult point in my life, but I think that is a beautiful thing. Like when family comes together and puts their wants and desires aside for each other.
Yeah, like I don't mean to speak for Andre, but he was just telling me in the car on the way here.
Oh, go ahead, speak about it, man. Like I said, I'm an open book.
Yeah, he was saying that he wants to go to grad school in Canada, and you just. I don't want to just go ahead. You tell.
So I was telling Phil, like, just like pre-conversation on the car, like, you know, and just to warm up my voice. And I was like, you know, like, I'm going to school for toxicology. And he's like, oh yeah, that's what's up, man. Like, what are you thinking about? I was like, well, like, I wanted to do CIA. Like, I was like heavy on that. Like, yes, do that, yes. And like other people in the family were like, yeah, go do that. But in the back of my head was like, yo, why not Canada, bro? And then I was like, let me just put this forward and like speak it to people, right?
Yeah.
And like certain people are like, don't do it. And like I'm like, oh, why not? They're like, oh, you're gonna hate it there. And like basically just talking down on Canada. Not like I've never been to Canada. I don't know, something just draws me to Canada. Like maybe the culture, the bag of milk. I just want it for the memes. But like,
Can you deal with the weather?
yes, I can deal with the weather.
Okay.
Yes, I am fine.
You were raised in New York, right? So
Yeah.
you're,
Oh
you're-
yeah, I'm ready for that brick weather.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
The wind tunnels in cities, man. That's like
Ooh.
that's like an experience
Yeah.
that I will never forget.
Put some hair on your chest.
For real.
Yeah.
It cuts you.
Like if you're not ready, like you come in with cuts. Like,
Oh.
But like
Bring a jacket.
bring a jacket. Yeah. But like I want, and then I told people, and they just kept talking down about it. And I'm like, okay. And like people influence your way, so like I never thought of it. And then I was like, and then I saw the corruption, and I was like, you know what? I kind of don't want to do CIA. I just want to work in a laboratory that I'm happy with. And they're like, and my mom was like, what about Canada? That thing you said. I was like, okay. I give it another chance. And then I started looking at like grad schools, and I applied to 2 grad schools. Now we just wait. I'm like, and then she's like, so what are you going to do? You're just going to go to grad school and come back? I was like, nah, matter of fact, I've been living in this United States for like 22 years of my life. Let's start new.
Yeah.
Let's go to Canada.
Yeah.
And she's like, I will wholeheartedly support you. And every trip you got, get your visa, get your passport. Like this is and my mom starts doing research. When my mom starts doing research, that's kind of scary because she's like, all right, this is what you're gonna need. This is how much money you need to rack
Right.
up. This is how much you need to save.
Yeah.
I'm like,
My mom's the same way.
Mom, calm down. It's like it's not ready yet. She's like,
That's A1 support though.
yeah, I know it is A1 support, and I love my mom to death for that. And I'm like, all right. And then now my goal is in my life now is like, all right, Canada, that's it. If you want to come visit, if you say no, all right, you're not living Andre Ventura Lawson's life. You're not stepping in the size 9.5 shoes. Maybe it's a common shoe size, but like
Yeah, maybe you fit, but
maybe you fit, but like, bro, leave me alone. I'm doing me.
they're your shoes.
Yeah, it's my shoes. I'm doing me. If you're not supporting, okay, fine.
It's your path.
It's
yeah.
your path. It's my path. You put me in this way. You block my path. Okay, I'm just gonna go like
Right around
you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've dealt with a couple of roadblocks in my life, and it definitely stuffed me down into a dark place. And 3 years ago, I mean, I was just a different person. I was really drowning myself in like substance and not doing the things I need to do for myself. I was living, maybe for myself, but in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
I was just like eroding essentially. And yeah, I mean, I talked about it before, but it kind of all culminated to a point where I was on a roof, and I definitely was thinking about just ending it all just because I just couldn't take it anymore. I hated the person that I was, and I gave Phil a call, and that phone call changed everything. I did go to like health services at my college, and they just kind of like
Brush it aside.
Yeah, they brushed it
I
aside. They were like,
hate-
best
I
we can
hate-
do is a monthly like visit with a therapist, and we'll get you in with a psychiatrist, and we'll get you medication.
Hated our monthly. Like I hated that. I was like,
Yeah.
like bro, I almost end my life, and you think a monthly visit would
Yeah,
help me?
like one time a
Well,
month
yeah.
is gonna save me. Yeah,
Like no.
I realized at that point. I walked out of that room. I was like, "There's only one fucking person who can save myself, and it's me."
Can I ask a question? Like
Yeah.
I know both of you guys dealt with medication because of your experiences with therapy. Can I just ask you guys, like, if you're comfortable talking about
I'd be
that
fine.
a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like either one of you. I'm just
Go
kinda-
ahead.
For me, I stopped taking my medication.
Me as well.
I told you in this car, but I'm gonna tell you this now. I flushed it down the toilet, like, just straight up. Like people are like, oh, you can't just kill cold turkey like that. I used to before. I always had a mind in my head. It was like, all right, we don't need these pills to make you happy,
Yeah.
like quote unquote. And I knew, as someone who studies science, knew it was a placebo, but I needed them.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, you study this on your field, and you're still taking these.
Yeah.
And like, don't do what I did. Just flush it down the toilet.
I'd say finish the medication. I did the same thing. I just stopped taking them.
Yeah.
I ran out of my pills, and I was like, I'm not going to
refill.
Yeah.
But like
I went to
I did the common thing like people did. Like I started like taking day by day. You know, like not taking it, see how I react, and then all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I did it, but I slipped right back up. And I was like, you know what? If you're gonna do it, just flush it down the toilet. Flush it down the toilet. You know, you start relapsing. You're like shaking. You're like scratching yourself, and you're like shaking. Like your body just like.
It's dependent on
It's dependent on it.
I would have weaned.
Yeah.
I was on a light doses of Lexapro, 10 milligram. I mean, the side effects weren't that bad, but it still was noticeable, like a chemical change in my brain.
Yeah. And I'm like, and then my mom noticed. She's like, "Are you taking your meds?" I'm like, "No." I flushed it down the toilet, and she's like, "You did what?" I'm like, "Yep." She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then one party I went to. With my friend, shout out to my friends. They know who they are. I'm not gonna say them because it's like a list of people. But
They know the part.
They know the part. Like, you know, I had a beer in my hand. You know, I was like, okay, I gotta use the bathroom. So I went to go use the bathroom, right? And like everything just stopped. Like everything felt like it was slow motion. Like I finished using the bathroom, washed my hands, but my body was like, don't go out there. You don't need to go out there. So I was like, okay, let me just sit in the toilet. Check Facebook, was going through, and then I was like, something in my body was like, put your phone down and just reflect on everything. And I was like, okay. So I started reflecting. Now, I felt like it was 5 minutes I was in that bathroom. I come out, party's already done. Everybody's cleaning up and everything. I was like, what just happened? They're like, Andre, we thought you left, bro. I'm like, nah, bro, I was in the bathroom. It's been like 5 minutes, right? It's like, dude, it's like, I got there at 10, at the bathroom at 10. The party ended at 12. So I was in the bathroom for 2 hours. I was just sitting there.
In space,
In space.
Reflect.
Felt like 10 minutes, 2 hours. I came out and they're like, yo, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. They're like, dude, you're shaking. I'm like, I'm shaking? Like, just let it out, bro. Like, you're in front of the boys. Like, I know you don't want to show emotion. Just let it all out. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, the pat, the back, and I'm like, boom. I started like tearing up like a baby, and they're like, it's okay, it's all right, bro. And like, first of all, I wasted a beer, like a good beer. I'm not saying I abused beer or anything, but like, I was like, oh wow, like now I feel like contempt. And like now 3 months clean, I'm like. Everybody at work knows like certain differences. They're like, "Yo, you're acting different." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm off the meds." They're like, "Wait, you take meds? But you're like the most happy-go-lucky guy ever." I was like, "Yeah, nah, I'm kind of depressed." But like, it's fun because I'm like, "Yo, I don't need this to depend on it. Like, I'm happy," and like people see the change, and when people see that change on you, they want what you have. Like, what is your secret? I'm like, honestly, my secret in my life is just to be honest with yourself.
Acceptance.
Accept who you are. Like, yeah, I am 122 pounds, 5'8", soaking wet, eat like a truck, and all this. But at the end of the day, I am the most happiest I can ever be in my whole life. It took a whole year and like 2 months for me to like move on from this toxic relationship. It was not a toxic relationship. It was just like, basically to keep it short and sweet, she's like dating one of my ex-best friends. So like, and it was like one of the close-knit friends. Like you're like, whoa, bro,
just
like betrayed. First of all, you didn't tell me. Like that's guy code 101. You tell it when you have feelings for it.
Right.
But like, yo. And that hurt me because, like, I've been in a relationship and, like, we can all experience relationship. And, like, when you get hurt in a relationship, you learn from it. But, like, I've been in situation in relationship where, like, okay, I know I'm getting breaking up at this day. Like, I kind of, like, have that habit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, this is where I messed up at.
My mom predicted my last breakup. Yeah. She's psychic.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. She, like, nail on the head.
It was weird because I was like, okay. But, like, I never experienced someone who I was close with is now betraying me like that. But now, the hardest thing I did as a person, and like I'm gonna hit you with the bomb right now, I forgave them what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, you guys are adults. I don't care. You guys do what you did. And like the old me would go like, nah, punch him in the face. Like,
Right.
like sock him in the face, man. And I'm like, nah, I don't care, because like, what's the point? What's that gonna prove? Like, I forgave him, and I literally said like, yo, I don't care you're dating my ex. I just hope she keeps you happy. I hope you guys are happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, if I see you guys like around the area, I'm not gonna just go walk the other way. I'm gonna say, hi, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah.
Two second conversation and left.
You hope the best for them.
I hope the best. And then I burned the wallet. I don't know if you guys have me on Snapchat, but like I burned like the wallet that was like the 1 year gift. That was like the final step is still like,
Yeah.
"Alright, get out.
Get rid of everything.
Get rid of everything." Because like
Yeah.
everybody was like, why don't you just, like, because the water was already beat up and I needed a new one, but they were like, I had like a picture of us like still there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe I can fix this. Maybe I can fix this. And
Yeah.
she told me, there's no way you can fix this. I was like, crap. Dang it. I was like, all right, okay. And then like, I was like, you know what? I already made amends with them. It's time to make amends with myself. So I just burned the wallet in my bathroom, put it on like there, like, yeah.
burn it in your bathroom.
Because it was cold outside. I was like in shorts and a t-shirt, and I was like, I don't feel like wearing sweatpants.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, put it on the air vent, burned the wallet, and I was like,
We're done.
we're done.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now I feel better about my life.
True closure is a warm feeling. It kind of has that mellow, like melancholy kind of feeling to it,
Bittersweet,
but
yeah.
it's that first glimpse of hope that there are so many opportunities to be had in the future, and that eventually you will find that person. I remember, my first breakup was really tough, and kind of like we talked about in the beginning, you think you know people and you think you know the depth of them, and then they show you that other angle, and you're just like, wow.
That curveball, you're
Like,
like, whoa.
I didn't know you were
Yeah.
like that. And it can be incredibly difficult to walk away from an idea that you've had of someone when the reality is completely different. It took me probably a year and a half to fully get over, and kind of similar to your experience, that breakup occurred when everything else in my life was falling apart. So it was really just the cherry on top of this
like-
ice cream that I had to eat. And, I ate
shit
it.
ice cream. It's just straight
Yeah.
poop.
The shit flavored yogurt.
The
Yeah,
shit
flavored
yogurt.
Oh,
And
God.
then-
For you.
and then the
Unflavored Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't even be started with that. Yo, I
No.
can get it.
Just throw some fruit in there.
Yeah,
Or
honest-
something.
It seems like the best way, blanket statement, umbrella statement, because this obviously does not apply to everyone, but
Right.
it could. I don't know, because I'm not a mental health professional, but it seems that based on my experience and your experience with, now again, I was never diagnosed with depression or anything. You were, so
Yeah.
that's different because I can't say I've overcome it if I don't even know I ever had it. But one way that I think I've found I've become happier is, number one, pursuing what I want to do, and I know what's best for me and what drives me, and then also accepting these things that happen to you. You have to accept that your uncle passed away. You have to accept that things are hard at college, or accept a relationship that fails. But you accepting those things and saying, you know what, it's in the past, it's fine. It's moving on from that. A lot of people sink into a depression because they get so caught up in all the shit that's happened to them in the past, and they can't let it go. And it seems like that's how you've moved on, is just accepting all the things that have hurt you and then pursuing what you want.
Like back into a relationship, like after we broke up, like this was last year, you kind of like jump into another relationship like that you're not ready for. So I jumped into a relationship. I'm just gonna get into that. Jumped into a relationship for a week, and I was like, yo, time out, Andre.
Yeah.
Like, you're not ready for this. Like, I went through, like, the whole phase. I dyed my hair blonde. I had I have piercings now, but, like
Yeah.
piercing.
You're like full circle.
Full
just
circle
changing.
just changed. And I was like, and, like, during that week, I was like, yo, time out. This is not you.
Yeah.
Like, first of all right, first, you dyed your hair. You said you always want to try it, but never again. So like I cut it off. It was like bleach blonde. Like,
Yeah.
For like you know how wrestlers do it, like bleach blonde. That.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay, I do not look good blonde. Noted. But like, and then I jumped into. I just ended it off. I was like, hey, like we should just stay as friends. And she was like, okay, that's cool. Other relationship I jumped into was like 4 months, and then I was like, you know what? You know when a relationship is going down and everything. And I came to Ricky point this out to me. Shout out to Ricky. Ricky was like, yo, do you love yourself enough? I'm like, no. He's like, then why are you in a relationship with someone if you don't love yourself? I was like, and that hit me because I was like, yeah, I can't devote my love if I don't have my love for myself.
Right.
And then I called her because she went to school in North Carolina. It was a long distance. And I told her, like, hey, I think we should end it off. And she's like, yeah, I felt the same way.
Damn. See, it just
No, because
worked
she,
out, yeah.
like, you know when the relationship is, like, ending. But she's like, we can still friends. And she texted me on my birthday. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. And now we're chill. But, like, and now I can say I love myself so much. I might sound, like, egotistical and all that, but, like, I love myself now that I could put the effort into someone else.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And then I'm like, okay, next relationship I go into, I'm not forcing it. If it comes to me, it comes to me. If it doesn't, no. And then Ricky noticed that. He's like, yo, you're not gonna get that girl's number. I was like, not worth it.
Yeah. I had recently gotten out of a relationship. I'm very happy in my new relationship, and that's a whole aside. But my ex really struggled with mental illness, and I just knew that like I had to be there at whatever capacity that I could be there for her, just to make sure that she was okay. And months went on, and like we were kind of in the cupcake stage, so like we didn't really I didn't
Honeymoon stage?
yeah. So I didn't like I just thought things were good, but the truth was like she was struggling the whole time, and like just everything, like therapy, medications, all of that. It was so rough to see. And at the end, when she was like, I can't do this anymore, I was like, yeah, I know.
Like, you can, like, yeah, I
it's
know.
like, yeah, because, I mean, to be honest with you, it got to a point where I realized that I couldn't do it anymore. There was nothing in my power that would change who she was at that time. So I really do wish her the best. It didn't hurt like other breakups, because I knew it was for truly the best.
Yeah, like this last relationship didn't hurt me. So I was like, okay.
And I was like, still, I could work on myself too. And, I really, like, out of everything with quarantine and COVID, it really helped me to understand myself and how I can grow as a person. And I really just, like, I started dating again with the premise that I wasn't really looking for anything serious. And I came across this girl who's now my girlfriend, and
that's the best
it
one.
just, everything felt right.
Do
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the one that just comes out of left field.
Yeah.
I don't know that feeling just yet, but like the one that just comes out of left field.
Yeah.
Like,
I can see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it all just, I mean, it was initiated through Snapchat. Like, she had posted a video that I thought was really attractive. That, like, no shame. It was a thirst trap, and I
you swiped out,
I
you
thought,
got
oh,
like,
hook, line, and sinker.
You're like, hey, yo, ma.
Texas and July.
Sinker.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
I was on the hook, man. I was there, and
But you shot your shot.
Exactly.
Look
Yeah.
what happened.
And turns out like I had known her before, and I knew that she was already a great person, so I felt comfortable in that sense. It wasn't like meeting a stranger necessarily, but I had a lot more to uncover. I think it's important to say, and Andre and I have our own personal experiences with medication, but to those who are on medication for whatever it may be, you know yourself best, and definitely treat psychotropic drugs with respect. I would say wean if you desire to get off your medication. Don't quit cold turkey. Wean. And if you feel like you need help please do not hesitate to seek that, because there are definitely people out there who absolutely need drugs.
Yeah, similar to your situation, I have an ex-girlfriend who had mental illness problems. Problems is probably not the right word there, but she had a lot of issues. One of those being OCD, which is something that gets triggered in childhood, generally, and it's not really related to culture or race. It's more of a genetic thing, they think, or some other traumatic event can trigger it. But the point is, she had medications, and she wouldn't take them because she didn't like the way that they made her feel, which is how a lot of people react to medications when you have depression or other mental illnesses. And those medications come primarily out of the West, right? In the West, we are the first line of defense is medications. Sure, you go to therapy.
It's medication, not meditation.
Right. Yeah. Well, in the East, you have spirituality as a solution. Finding, I don't want to say God because that's
finding your religion, basically.
Yeah, and connecting with the universe in a way, and that's sort of other cultures go to for depression. I think it's interesting. I'll have to find the article before I can actually.
Yeah, I think I talked about it before. In the West, we mainly focus on, and this is from Wikipedia, allopathic medicine, or allopathy, refers to the science-based modern medicine. There are regional variations in usage of the term. In the United States, the term is used to contrast with osteopathic medicine, especially in the field of medical education. So what does allopathy mean? It's relating to or being a system of medication that aims to combat disease by using remedies such as drugs or surgery, which produce effects that are different or incompatible with those of the disease being treated. So in the West, we immediately want to go for the pill, whatever that may be, the magic pill, the cure. Only time I ever passed out was at a friend's house. We had consumed alcohol and marijuana, and I had worked out, eaten, and drank water throughout the day. So I started feeling fuzzy, like almost like my brain was kind of just like scattered, like I was thinking but I had no thoughts, and it built up, and eventually my vision went, and I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm like, dude, Liam, like I think I'm gonna, and I just passed out, hit the floor. Yeah, hit my head, then hit the floor. So it was pretty scary for myself and for the people around me. The next day I went to health services, and a doctor drew a triangle on a piece of paper, because I'm like, why did this happen? Like, what is wrong with me? She's like, your blood tests are fine, but this is your problem. She wrote mind, body, spirit.
Ooh.
And it was the first time a doctor ever was like spirit to me. She was like, this is the triangle of your health. If one of these things are off, the triangle breaks.
Is it like Maslow's hierarchy, basically?
No, that's like a pyramid. So like you have the base of the pyramid. What's that? Like
basically
like food,
basic
like
needs,
necessities,
food, shelter, relationships, then like self-actualization or whatever it may be.
Self-actualization's at the top.
Yeah. So, but like she just kind of did it as like a equilateral triangle that if one of these things are off, you are going to be off, and clearly something's missing.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, yeah, I could definitely exercise more, but I'm at a healthier weight than I've been my entire life. Mentally, I'm kind of off the rails, but spirituality, I had nothing. I had just I was kind of in the wake of existentialism. I didn't really believe in the religion that I was brought up in anymore. And I had nothing to relinquish myself to. Go ahead.
I know, I wanted you to finish. I was the same way with religion and everything. I was brought up into the church.
Yeah.
As a Christian. I don't know if this is like a sensitive topic you guys don't want to talk about in the podcast.
Oh, no.
If you have thoughts on it.
Okay.
I'd love to talk about it.
But like, as someone who brought up as the church as a Christian, right? At first, I thought this is boring. Why am I wasting my time on a Sunday? Why am I going to Bible class every Tuesday and Friday? I could be hanging out with my friends, right? And like, you know, my dad is an elder at a church, and he was like, God puts everything on you for a reason. And I was like, nah, I don't believe that right there. So I walked away from the church. I started doing things like all that jazz, like dyeing my hair and all that, which you can dye your hair in the church, like in the Bible.
But I get what you mean.
Yeah, it's like doing stuff like getting piercings. I have tattoos. My dad didn't know that I didn't have tattoos until like last year.
Really?
Until like I roll up my sleeve. He's like, you got tattoos. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, you got a piercing. I'm like, yeah. And then, but like I like kind of walked away from the church, and then like one of my friends didn't know me at the time. Like didn't know me. We just had class together at the lunchroom at RAC, and she's like, I feel like you need to go to church again. I was like, first of all, who are you? Who are you? Why are you telling me this? I don't want to hear this mumbo jumbo in my ear again, right? And her name is Soli. And I was like, okay, I guess I go one day. Just to make her be quiet, because she constantly just kept hounding me about it.
Yeah.
And I went back, and then, like, my faith got back up to it. And, like, it felt like I wasn't forced there. She's like, oh, yeah, you can go one day. If you don't like it, I'm not going to force it onto you.
Right.
I was like, that's the first time ever someone told me that. Because my dad was like, you're going to church. I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Like, being a rebellious teen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go. And then I went the first day. And she's like, okay, we're going to meet again Friday at 7 p.m. If you want to go, you can go. But, like, you don't have to. And I went again. And I kept going again and again and again. Now I'm a member of the church, which I enjoy. And I got baptized.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that on my Facebook, but like I got baptized.
I've never gone. I'm sorry, just me personally. I never go on Facebook, but that's just me.
Yeah, but like my mom posted it, and you know she tagged, look, my son get baptized and all that, like all that, and I was like, now I feel better, like with my religion and everything, and now my upbringing, like I like how it was a roller coaster with that, like I didn't want to go, it was like a downhill, and then when like I found my happiness. And some people are like, why you find your happiness on the Bible? I was like, well, other people make it happy. Maybe the Bible doesn't make you happy, but for me, just talking about it makes me happy as much as possible.
I think religion is we said this earlier in AA, one of the first steps is to accept God, right? A lot of people sort of have a problem with that because maybe they're atheist or maybe they follow a different religion. But for a lot of people, spirituality and religion can help. But for others, it can actually be a roadblock, right? Because if they're religious and maybe they are depressed or they have a mental illness, they might ask the question, why has God given me this illness, right? And that's, I think, from the articles that I've read, it seems to be the one question that people try to sort of avoid in their writings about religion and mental health.
There is a writing.
Interesting.
There is a writing on it. I just gotta find the Bible first. I know, like somewhere, like there is like some type of writing that says like he put you, like you're depressed because of this, and that. And I like, I'm not gonna say I'm disagree with it, but like I kind of interpret it like, okay, this is why I'm mad. This is why I'm mad about my life, and like. As someone who's not super religious as like me, like, cause I'm not perfect. We're not all perfect. Like when people start realizing, I hate the people who say like, I live a perfect life. There's nothing wrong with me and all that. I was like, excuse my language, but that's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
A bunch of bullshit.
Absolutely.
But like, yo, either something in your life is happening that you just don't want to share, because I was the same way. I was like, nothing's wrong with me. I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. Until you hit rock bottom, like all the way down. I'm not talking about, oh, you slip, that's it, you come back up. No, when you hit like real bottom, like no one in your friends want to talk to you because they're either busy, don't know your situation, or anything else, that is the true test of your life right there.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, it's time to open up wake up, smell the coffee, no sugar, black,
Yeah.
and like
For what it is.
for what it is. Life sucks, but life happens for a reason. These
yeah.
happens for a reason. These are lessons in your life.
That it wasn't necessarily Christianity, but that same reconnection to what I kind of just simply called the oneness, the one that I think all religions kind of agree upon is that there is a top to the pyramid. There is something, a point, an epicenter to everything that goes on in our physical world and outside of it. And I reconnected to that through meditation, through reading, through a lot of faith. And I think faith is the common denominator as well among religious people, among non-religious people, is that you manifest things through faith. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Obviously, like, we could delve into religions more, but I think it'd be more important to talk about Eastern versus Western tradition when it comes to religion and mental illness.
I did want to say, I had said that religion can be beneficial for people that are suffering from anything, right? Any struggle in your life. If it appeals to you, you can turn to religion. But I also think that therapy is actually a pretty viable option for a lot of people. Because although therapists don't prescribe pills, right? That's a psychiatrist.
No, that's a psychiatrist.
The therapist can at least look at, your outside, or from a third point of view, and say, well, how about you practice meditation? Try doing this or that. And I think it's really important that therapists have an understanding for their patient's religious background and what they believe, whether they're in the boat of, why did God burden me with this mental illness, or if they're in the boat of, well, I'm turning to God to assist me, or if they just neither, right? They're atheist down that middle path. I think it's important that we sort of mix Western and Eastern
together.
The remedies for illnesses. Because I said earlier, drugs are primarily a Western idea.
Right.
But some drugs do help. And some drugs, some are placebos. Some really just don't do anything.
Yeah.
But if you, take the best parts of every culture and how they deal with depression, and also understand the patient, understand the person that is struggling, and know, well, maybe this is what would be best for them.
It allows you to guide them onto a better path, as opposed to kind of forcing a cultural idea upon them that just goes against the grain.
Because in the end, it is up to you. Right?
Yes.
A therapist can only do so much for you.
Right.
And it's up to you in the end.
Talking about with therapists, I told Phil this. I called my therapist before this episode even started, when Phil was picking me up. I was like, "Hey doc, it's me," and she's like, "What's up?" I'm not gonna put her name out there, but she was like, "What's up, Andre? I haven't heard you in a while." I'm like, because I told her I'm out of the pills, and she's like, "Anything to report?" I was like, "No, I just wanted to get your opinion. I'm talking about my depression and my mental health. As a therapist, what is the end goal for a patient to say that's it, I'm done. I can't help you from longer." And in a good terms. She's like, "Well, you basically answer your own question. When I said, you got any reports? The best thing for a therapist to hear, I have nothing to report. I'm doing fine. I'm good." And I thought back. I was like, oh, right. Because these sessions used to be 20, 25 minutes in person before the pandemic. But now it was through Zoom, 20, 25 minutes, just me airing out everything to her. But now I'm like, nah, I got nothing to report. I'm actually good. And she's like, well, that's it. My job is done. Here's if you just want to talk or just grab a couple eat. Because, I have that relationship with my therapist. She's chill with me, I'm chill with her. She's chill with my mom and all that. So, we grab a couple eats and everything. But, that's it. That's the best thing a therapist can hear is like, okay, got nothing to report. And then she did share me one of her stories is like she was working with a client for like 2 years about like their depression and everything. And like the final year of like their like session, she's like, the client was like, hey, I have nothing to report. Like, should I be feeling this way? Like, I feel good, but like I have nothing to say to you, and I kind of feel bad for wasting your time. And she's like, no, you're actually...
It's the best thing you could ever say.
The best thing you could actually say to me.
I'm doing my job.
I did my job.
Yeah.
If you need anything else, you got my number. If you slip back, you know who to call. And she haven't heard of him since. He's doing fine. And I'm like, that's crazy because that's my situation. I had nothing to report to you. I feel like I'm wasting your time. And she's like, nah, you're fine. I was like, wow.
That's great. Yeah, my mom told me, I mean, she's a therapist. She was like, I cannot be your therapist. And I as my mom, like, obviously, like, I vent to her and I tell her what's going through my head and, you know, how I'm going. But, like, she could never truly help me because of the bias that comes with being my mom, which is totally understandable. I think for her, it must be hard to not be able to, like, help her son in that capacity.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of her to, like, go out and help people who suffer from the same affliction that my dad does. I think she's dedicated her life to that because it affected her in such a way. She started off in foster care services and eventually made her way into addiction therapy, and ever since then she's never looked back. I mean, I think she's truly found her passions. Great to see. I guess another thing that was really effective for me was accepting that I will have bad days in the future.
Yes.
Like it's not like a brace for the storm thing, but it's recognizing that there will be rainy days. Like,
yeah, for sure.
There will be lulls, and that's okay.
Shout out to episode 2, Suffering.
Yeah. I mean, it's life is suffering, and there's a way to end that suffering, and that's reaching enlightenment. And I think enlightenment, I mean, obviously you could define it in Buddhist terms, and we could delve into that, but I think enlightenment is truly achievable for any person or any walk of life.
Acceptance of that suffering and growing from that
is a big step.
Yeah. To relate to James's point on incorporating Eastern methods into our ways in which we handle mental health, I think for me, meditation was a really big thing. I had a period where I was working from home doing help desk. I mean, you two are familiar with this. And it was just really rough. I mean, I wanted to just die every day, and it was horrible. But meditating before work in the morning and meditating during my lunch break changed everything. And it was like 10 minutes each, 15 minutes each. That's it. I spend, like a half an hour of my time per day doing that? Like, you spend like a half hour like watching random videos on YouTube. You know what I mean? It's like you can take that time.
It's always there for you. It's free.
It's free. It's always there.
I say the best thing I learned in my life right now, as soon as I clock out of work, I'm not in work mode. And like when I clock in before work, I don't show up in my uniform, so I don't get stopped by a customer. First of all, that's the first thing. I hate that. Hate that.
You're not even working.
I'm not even working yet. Like, let me clock in, and then I can work with you. But like, as soon as I clock out, I'm like, all right, I'm done with work. Had a couple bad, people talk about with friends on Discord for like 10 minutes. And then we just play golf with friends, and that's it. And then
so you got your whole day to do whatever else you want.
Golf with friends, good game.
Yeah, good game.
Good game.
But like, I'm just chilling there. I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm done with work.
Yeah, put that stress behind you. Move on.
Move on.
Yeah.
Like,
if you don't mind me asking, do you pray?
I do now. As someone who's more of like the faith of Christianity, I'm not gonna lie. 2020, I was getting into like baptism. I got baptized and all that. But I had a habit of not reading my Bible and all that. And like we had Bible study class every Tuesday, and like these people around me, like I'm in a youth group, so like these people around me already like grown up with this and know what verse goes with this, how this and I hate being that person who doesn't know what they're talking about, but like I'm like, okay, so every morning I will pray, like it would be like a 20-second prayer, like I thank God for waking me up, I thank God for I'm still here till this earth, and all of this, like please protect my mom. Everything else, and everybody all my friends who come along. Even my podcast, I prayed about like that, you guys' podcast and all that. I do play you guys' podcasts. Like I
really appreciate that.
When you guys when we're closing, but like, and then like when I get home, I prayed like I got home safely. I'm here. Now let me just relax.
Yeah.
And like now I do a sort of like a Bible study, like an extra class with my friend who is in the same situation. She's in the same situation as me. Like, she wants to get a closer relationship with God. I was like, and then, like, the idea popped up in my head. I was like, okay, let's just pick a chapter of the Bible, interpret it, and then if we have any questions or confusion, we can go to our pastor, because he's, like, he lives, like, 15 minutes from me. And I didn't know that. There. And then she's like, I like that idea. And I was like, yeah. And then, like, I do it now, and I'm like, yo, this actually feels good. Like, I'm actually happy. I don't read it on my phone. I actually have a Bible, so I put my phone to the side. Mm-hmm. And then, like, if there's some things, like, because there's different versions of, like, interpreted of the Bible. That's what people don't understand. So, like, there's different versions.
Yep.
Right. So, like, the version I read is the New Living Testimony, but, like, some people read King James, which is, like, those fancy letters. Yeah, like the fancy letter, and my Bible is that. And I'm like, yo, I don't understand anything what this is saying. Right. So I just go on my phone and I look, and I'm like, oh, okay.
What's that podcast that you were telling me about?
There's a podcast called The Naked Bible, and this guy talks about he reads the original Hebrew text and then essentially relays the information. And apparently the translation into English, because James, like you said, like I've heard you say, it's been translated so many different times, and not only so many different times, but also you have like the King James version is, I listen, I could be totally wrong, but I think it's that King James wanted a certain version, like he may have wanted things altered or changed, so for the people
it's the King James Bible because he ordered it to be translated. It was only in Latin at the time.
Okay,
so he was the first to say, let's put it in English.
Yeah.
Is it possible that there was a corruption there? And
I don't know.
Maybe. We don't know.
Yeah, but the original Hebrew text it's samey, but it's a lot different when it comes to certain things, and it's crazy. And it's just, it's that little spirituality point on that triangle. And I would by no means call myself religious, but I definitely am a very spiritual individual.
Yeah.
And I think that, finding that connection with, I don't know, I guess
yourself, your higher self.
Yeah,
yourself and God. I mean, I think it's okay to say God when you're describing that one.
Yeah, because it's just, as far as I'm concerned, the thing that designed us, and I don't know what that even means, but having that connection with that, and like Eastern religions are so much, Eastern cultures are so much more spiritual, I think, than we are in America, generally speaking. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I don't know.
I think it's more integrated in their society.
Yeah.
It also depends on the culture.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's places in India that have a different culture than other places in India, and some of those are not very spiritual.
And like I was saying, like, because, like I said, I was like, yo, I don't know how these people, like, because at first I was like, yo, these people are really, like, nerds about this stuff. Like, and, like, by all means, I don't like being, like, the one left out because I want to say my input, but every time I say input, someone just says, like, well, it says this, like, you just basically said this right here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did I? And like, yeah, you just don't know it yet. And I'm like, okay.
What?
I'm like, what? And like that. I was like, what? And they're like, okay. So like now, every time we have our class, I'm like, okay, I like deep in the word. Like I make sure I read it. Like we were supposed to read it like the day before, like the whole week before that Tuesday. So I'm like, okay, And then before, I had the habit of, like, just reading it last minute, not getting every information, and, like, kind of just looking through and, like, okay. And then kind of, like, cheating in a type of way, like, Googling, like...
Getting Spark Notes.
Yeah, getting Spark Notes on, like,
your
everything.
Bible text.
Yeah, and, like, okay, how does people interpret it? And then I realized that's not how he wanted it. He wants you to see how it interprets in your life. That's how it came in their life. So I was like... My favorite Bible verse, if you don't mind me, if I could pull it up. Hold on, if my phone can log. It's in the 1st of Corinthians, chapter 13 and 13. I was like, verse 13. And it says, 3 things will last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. And that hit me hard. I was like, wow, in the Bible, it lists those 3 things, but love is the most important. Not your faith, not your hope, but your love. And I was like, yo.
Well, and then it makes me think about what you were saying with love for yourself is such a great way to overcome mental illness. And I know that that's really difficult because it's not like, well, oh, I love myself. Now I'm cured. It's not that.
No, it's not that easy.
It's not that simple.
No.
But it's taking those steps for, like, working hard for yourself and doing the things that you don't want to do in the immediate moment, but that you know will make you happy. Like, I don't know, reading or playing your instrument or finding that appreciation for yourself, that love for yourself can really help you overcome your mental, like, barriers. And again, it's not the cure-all, but it's taking that step.
Do you want to hear the hardest quote I heard that I was scrolling through, like, Instagram again, but, like, the hardest quote I heard in my life this year, it was like, love doesn't hurt you. Someone who doesn't know how to love will hurt you. I was like,
yeah, it's true.
I was like, bro, what? I was like, I didn't need that at like 2:00 in the morning, first of all. but I was like, damn, that really hurt. Like, but like I realized, I was like, it's true. Love is not like a person who's just gonna like give me your lunch money. It's someone who doesn't know how to love, and like that's why they just end it off. And I'm not saying to everybody who's like, go break up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or someone else like you're dating. Like, find yourself first and then put the effort. And like maybe like that person is helping you find yourself, but at the end of the day, when that person leaves, or you guys might be like living together or anything else, and like your significant other falls asleep,
and you have that alone time.
You have that alone time. That is your time to love yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't love yourself, then why are you wasting my time in this relationship?
I would like to, at some point in my life, get to a point where I truly feel that I love everyone. And I can honestly say I'm not there yet. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things that hold me back and pull me back from that. And I think it starts with ego, and then it also comes with fear. But honestly, I want to get to a point where someone's holding a gun to my head saying, I will blow your brains out. And I can look them in the face and say, hey, I love you all the same, even if you kill me right here, right now. Because I think you would at least die with that love in your heart. Mm-hmm. Fair. And I, no matter how I die, I want to die with
love.
With love.
Yeah. I say I'm pretty comfortable with myself, with everything. Mm-hmm. Like, the hardest thing you can do, and we talked about it earlier, but the hardest thing you can do for someone is forgive the person who did you wrong. Mm. And like today we had like our little lesson of like the like Bible of like our class, because we have it before we go to church. Mm-hmm. And that class really stuck out to me because like my friend Jocelyn said this: like I said, the hardest thing you can do is forgive the person who did you wrong. Now, and then I said, like, in my head, I was about to ask a question, and I was like, I was about to unmute my mic and say, like, hey, but, like, do you have to be friends with them and all that? And, like, she already, I don't know why, but she already knew, like, the question I was about to ask.
It was that weird connection.
It was that weird.
Took the words out of your mouth,
took the words out of my mouth, and she's like, I'm not telling you you have to be, like, super best friends with the person who did you wrong. Like, you don't have to be buddy-buddy with them. You don't have to check up on them. But the fact that you forgive them,
it's a big thing.
It's a big thing, and it blew their mind. It blew my mind because I was like, you know what? It's true. And there's
Yeah.
two different things of forgiving person. Like, you could just say, like, I knocked out James' laptop, and I go, like, all right, bro, I forgive you, bro. Like, I get you another one. But, like, actually, like, take the time and look at you and go, like, bro, I am truly sorry. What I did is my actions. Can you please forgive me what I did? Or Phil, like, for example, just throwing a with that, crashes into my car, right? And he's like, oh, dude, I got you a new car. Just forgive me all that. And I was like, and I said, no, go after yourself. All this, I don't want to talk to you, right?
It actually just hurts you.
Yeah, this just hurts you at the end of the
Because
day.
they just offered to pay for your car. And you just told them.
No, fuck
Eat
off.
sand.
Forgiveness is tough, but also seeking forgiveness is equally as
Exactly.
tough.
And then you go, and then I go to Phil. I'm like, hey man, I am really sorry that I overreacted like that. Don't worry about it. I have insurance. Like, don't we water under the bridge and all that. And I was like, and then I kind of relate back, and I was like, yo, there's so many people who did me wrong, right? And I forgive almost everybody who did me wrong. And like, are they friends with me? No. Do they like check up on me? No.
Mm-hmm.
Do I see what they're doing? Yeah. I'll give them a little like on Facebook. No, on Instagram. I give them a double tap.
Yeah.
And I go by my way. But like, if you're not paying my stamina, just no. Like, I'm not wasting.
I had a friend. Well, I'd like to consider him still a friend. I had someone like my tweet today that I haven't talked to in a while. And he was a good friend from high school, and some things happened with our friend group that ultimately led me to walk away from that friend group, and it was really tough because I genuinely enjoyed those people. But just to see him liking my content, it sounds really shallow, but like it because it's on the internet and like it's not real. Like,
But
he's
it
not saying it in
shows
front
that
of
he
me.
doesn't just despise
Yeah,
you.
he just doesn't despise me. Like,
Yeah.
he still, at least is like, oh, this is like something Derek would like, or maybe he laughed at it because it was like a funny little retweet or something. But just to see that interaction was really nice, and I really hope he's doing well. Good.
Did you have more that you wanted to go on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, well,
No, I mean, if
we
you've
could
got...
really rip open the bag and talk about socioeconomic status and mental health.
I
That
want to rip
Let's
open
open
that
it.
bag.
That is
I
super
want
critical. That's
I don't care.
Okay, so...
I don't know what you're talking about.
Can I open with this little thing, and then you
Yeah.
can take it?
sure.
Okay, so I'll throw the link for this article in the description, as well as, they'll be on the website, on the episodes page, as well as the sources James has. There was this little section that just caught my eye. It's like 2 little paragraphs. It says, more is known about the existence of disparities in mental health services and their significance than the reason behind them. The most likely explanations identified in Mental Health, a report of the Surgeon General, are expanded upon throughout this supplement. They trace to a mix of barriers deterring minorities from seeking treatment or operating to reduce its quality once they reach treatment. The foremost barriers include the cost of care, societal stigma, and the fragmented organization of services. Additional barriers include clinicians' lack of awareness of cultural issues, bias, or inability to speak the client's language, and the client's fear of mistrust of treatment. More broadly, disparities also stem from minorities' historical and present-day struggle with racism and discrimination, which affect their mental health and contribute to their lower economical, social, and political status. Powerful words there.
Yes.
Which makes me think of Andre explaining how he has to pay for therapy himself. It's very difficult. So, like, I'm not in a position, like, I probably couldn't get good therapy for free. I don't even, like,
No.
it just depends on what's
Without
going on with your
insurance,
economic status and everything.
I made
but
a lot of sacrifices to pay for therapy. Like, I used to have a car, but like it blew out.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a car.
Do you either fix your car or go to therapy?
I was like, go to get a car or go to therapy. I do like midnight drives by myf. And
Yeah.
like,
It can be therapeutic.
wait,
but-
no, it is therapy.
Yeah.
No, there is. But like, I was like, I kind of need the therapy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of like sacrifice like thousands of dollars.
And then the unfortunate thing is some people go the opposite direction. They go, oh, I can't afford therapy right now because I have these bills and all these things that
They
I
don't
have to take care
prioritize
of.
it.
Yeah, but if James, you got a whole can of worms you want to open up and send us in a nifty direction.
So the original idea for this episode was mental health in different races, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I thought, in the scope of America, socioeconomic status is closely related to race.
Yes.
Yes.
Just how our system's built, I think it's very oppressive, and I think that minorities are stuck in a lower socioeconomic status, and that can be detrimental to mental health, right? Feelings of hopelessness, no access to healthcare and to therapy. And there's research to back it. The rates of mental illness in minority groups it's insane. It way outclasses anything else.
What are the rates?
Let's see.
I think I had.
This is the UK. Looked at 7,725 adults who had developed mental illnesses. They found low social economic status and unemployment may increase the length of psychiatric episodes. They did not increase the likelihood of the initial psychotic break, which is interesting. That was in 1998, though, and in the UK.
In 2015, among adults with any mental illness, 48% of white people received mental health services, compared with 31% Black people and Hispanics, and 22% of Asians.
Wow.
Yes.
And I think that's the real important thing. Just as this study in 1998 by Weich and Lewis.
Wick, I don't know.
Wyche?
I don't know.
W-E-I-C-H.
Which?
Some British
Which,
dude.
Yeah.
Socioeconomic status may not, or socioeconomic status may not be the cause of the initial psychotic break, but it plays into the factors of how long somebody will suffer from it without getting help.
Exactly.
And even more important, they can't get help. The opportunities are not available to them because it's too expensive. There's no actual good therapy or therapist in their community, maybe just because of where they live. Maybe they don't have transportation access to actually get to therapy. There's a lot of reasons.
I like how you brought that up because, like, as someone who constantly kept moving back and forth, I talked about this on my podcast with my older brother. We were first. Well, my older brother was born in Puerto Rico, moved to New Jersey, right, and then moved to New York, and then back to Jersey. This is me and him. So, like, we didn't know each other until, like, he was 6 and I was, like, 4.
Wow.
No, 6 or 3, something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah. So that was crazy. I didn't know I had an older brother until my dad was like, "Yeah, you have a brother." I was like, "Wait, what?" But, like,
insane.
Yeah, going from
Happened to me too.
Yeah.
When I was like 8.
Yeah, I was born in New York, but, like, my dad took me to Jamaica to visit his side of the family. So, like, I lived out there for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then I moved back to Jersey, and I was like, "Who are you?" I was like, "Okay." And then, like, you could see, like, the different environments. Like, we were not pretty wealthy. We were, like, middle class and not poor. But now we moved to New York. And, New York is dummy expensive.
So expensive.
So expensive. And, like, my mom had to work. My dad had to work. And, like, I didn't get to see my mom. So I lived in my grandma's apartment. I was like, when is mom going to come back? And, like, then mom just left us, like, just to rot out there. And my grandma was like, no, she's working like 2 factory jobs back to back just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And then my dad was making a factory job. And then, like, my dad used to pick us up at night, right, on the weekend. Pick us up at night, take us to our Jersey house, right? As we were falling asleep, when my dad falling asleep, my mom was coming home for her second job. And then when my dad got up, my mom was knocked out. So I never saw them like all together except for like a Saturday because like my mom was like, I want at least one day off to see my children.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like a Saturday, and like everybody was there in the family. Like I get to see my dad, my mom, and we're chilling. And then like I kind of like was hyped for Saturday. I was like, yeah, Saturday, I get to see my mom. Like she's a human, and like
She's your mom.
and she's my mom.
You
Like
should
and
be able
then
to see her.
Yeah.
Sunday hits, and I got depressed because now I had to go back to my grandma's house, spend the week, like go to school there. Don't see my mom until Saturday, and like it was a cycle. And
Yeah,
like,
that's tough.
and then like we moved to Reading, and then like you just see the different shift of environments. Like because in New York, everybody's lively, everybody just wants to get to their place, don't want to talk to you. I moved to Reading. I went to school there, and like it's a different environment. It's either you're riding with someone or you're getting beat up. Simple as that. That was the mindset of like elementary school going in. So like I didn't know no one. I was a brand new kid from New York, so I was like I don't know no one, and like I remember like my second week going in elementary school, like 5th or 6th grade. Some guy was like, "Hey, who you riding with?" I was like, "Oh, I'm not riding with no one, man." Like I was just nonchalant. He's like, "Okay." I was like, "All right." Go to my next class, right? As I'm walking my next class, I get decked in the face and behind my back.
Because they know that you don't have.
I don't have no one like riding with me in the back.
Yeah.
So I was like I just noticed my nose is bleeding. I'm like I'm getting lifted up, and you know those movies when people are woozy and like
Yeah.
they're like blinking. It's like a new place every single time.
Uh-huh.
I start blinking, and then like I ended up in a trash can. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then my mom looked at me and she's like, you just got into a fight? I was like, I don't even know how to explain that.
I mean, you just got jumped.
I just got jumped.
It'd be a fight if you had
Yeah.
a chance to fight back. But I mean, you got clocked.
I got clocked. And then, like, I walked down to school, like, same kids is like, hey, yo, you riding with someone? I was like, I looked and I kind of, like, put my head down. It was not the same kid. He's like, are you riding with someone, bro? And I was like, no. Are you going to, like, jump me like the other people? He was like, nah, bro, you can ride with us. I was like, okay, now I have like not a gang, but like a group,
Like a posse.
Right.
like a potsy, like I feel like I got a little potsy on me, and like you just notice that, and like I'm like okay, and like the same people who like clocked me was like, hey yo, you riding with someone? And I was about to say yeah, like what's up? Like I am, like my friend swooped in, he's like yeah, he's riding with me, and he was like oh I don't want no problems. Apparently I was riding with like the biggest bully in school.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. And I was like, he's like, just ride with me, you be good. I was like, okay. And then I moved to Wilson. That was a totally different environment. Like everybody.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, no one's like trying
And you
to
went
punch
to
you in the
Weil
face
with
every
us.
day.
Yeah,
That
and
was probably completely different.
yo, I was like a big school in Wilson, a big school in Reading, and then when my mom told me like, yeah, we're going to Weil, I was like, Weil. At first, I was like, isn't it those like snobs, like
Yep.
rich snobs everywhere? And that's what I thought, and I was
It's
like,
all those rich white snobs.
snobs. And I'm like, I don't want to be here, Mom. Like, this is not my environment. Like, Wilson or Reading was my environment because it was like, I had like the potsy and like everybody got my back, I got their back, and then I went to Weil and I was like, this school is small,
Yeah.
really small. I remember my first day, and it's kind of embarrassing, but my first day, right, girl stood up and I was like, damn, she has a fat ass. Like, just straight up. And like, you know, someone overheard, and like, by the end of like third period, everybody knew in the class. I was like, yo, did you say this girl had a fat ass? I'm like, yeah, like
The school's so small.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And like, yeah, her boyfriend is looking for you. I was like, what?
You gotta tell me who that is afterwards.
Yeah,
I gotta
after this,
know.
afterwards,
been like-
I was like, okay, okay. I was like, and now I realized I was like, okay, in this school, I gotta be careful what I say, cause like, and then I met Phil, I met you, I met James, and like we had that hallway, like the auditorium. Remember we used to hang out?
Yeah.
Good times right there, right? And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I got like these people I can ride with. And like I just gotta be careful what I say. Bert, hilarious person. I love him to death. But like,
Oh my god, I love Bert.
yeah.
I hope he's doing well. I
He is
mean,
doing-
like, yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like I remember him.
Do you keep
I'm
in?
not really sure.
Do you keep in touch with
Yes,
him?
I do keep
Yeah.
in touch with him.
Yeah.
But like, as James was saying, you can see like the different environments and like you know, in Reading, I was like not showing no emotions. Like if you show some type of emotion, I shit you not, you're gonna make fun of, you're gonna get clowned on, you're gonna get beat up.
Yeah.
As a male, and then I moved to Wilson. You know, I had the mindset like, blank face, no emotion, and they were like, Andre, just talk, man. Like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you? I'm like, oh, this, and that, and they're like, but like I ain't no bitch. Like, sorry for the language, but like I ain't no bitch. And they're like, dude, it's fine. We're all human.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And then I moved to Wild, even more smaller. Like where we graduated with 144 in our class.
Yeah,
Like-
around there.
Like I was like
160.
I think
we were a big
We
class.
had 160.
Yeah,
You guys had
comparatively.
144 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I know. The scary part is I know every 144 who graduated with me.
Exactly.
You don't
I
like
think there was,
know
like,
them, but
2
you know
people
them.
that I was like, who is that?
Yeah.
That's
but-
about it.
Yeah.
There was
that's
one
it.
person I was like, did he go to our school?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, never mind.
So when it comes to your experience at Reading,
Mhm.
why do you think students acted that way?
Because that was for me, as someone who's back into the city of Reading, as living there, I see it in a different eye. So like I see like people hanging out with like cliques, and like they don't want to talk about anything. They just want to talk about like the latest girl they hooked up with.
Right.
Or-
Yeah.
Either make
Drug,
or-
sex, and
or-
rock and roll kind of
yeah,
thing.
like that's the mentality.
Uh-huh.
No one wants to talk about their problem. No one wants to talk about their feelings and all to that.
It's
No.
crazy how you got like one state, and then within those states, you just named like a couple different. Well, I mean, like,
Areas.
excluding New York and New Jersey, but like let's just
We
like,
don't talk about Jersey. Jersey's trash.
like just the state we're living in. You go to 3 different schools, and just those 3 different schools have this entirely different culture,
Yeah.
which entirely shifts your mindset and affects the way that your brain is processing information, and it affects your mental health.
So
And
when
then-
you go on to the next one, you're kind of programmed
Yeah.
To be a certain
to
way.
be a certain way, like the
And-
previous school.
and handle your
and then it's
mental
completely
issues
different.
a certain
So,
way.
like,
yeah.
Right.
When I went to Penn State Berks, and like you know, it was like instilled like go to Penn State. We are right. Like okay, fine, I go. All right, leave me alone.
That's a cult.
Like leave me alone. Just all right. Okay, I go.
Yeah.
I'm part of the cult. We are. I hated it because you know why? Saw the same people from graduation. Didn't
Yeah.
want to see that. Second, like I didn't mind. I saw my best friend there for 7 years.
But it was like the culture of Penn State that you didn't like.
I didn't like how. It's like, have you ever been to State College before?
No.
That's-
I did.
It's yeah.
I
My
did
my friend
community college
Austin
and
went
tech
to Penn
school.
State, Maine,
Yeah.
and he is just not a part of that like we are culture of
Yeah.
like
It's literally
believe
people.
Penn State do
like,
everyone.
You know, and okay, so we live in like Wyomissing. You know how you see like the old people and all
Yeah.
that. Literally, State College. When I went out there for a football game, literally, all people our age.
Yeah.
City,
No,
like a
s-
city size,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
City
I
set.
went to 2 small colleges, so and they were like, you know, one's a community college and one's a tech school. So
Yeah.
I never got that like
Full college
big
experience.
college life.
No,
I mean,
I hated
the
it.
state college area, like you can just go there,
Yeah.
like for a football
Yeah.
game or whatever. But yeah, it's actually wild how many like not old people you see there.
It's
Like,
weird.
Everybody is your age.
And it's weird because like you go into like a real established restaurant, like someone like a mom and pop shop, and it's like their daughter who owns it, and the daughter's like 25, and like I'm like yeah, my mom and dad retired, but I took her over to the shop. I'm like, how old are you? She's like, yeah, I'm 25. I'm like, bro, when am I gonna see someone who's like 40? I literally said that to. She's like, first time in state. I'm like, yeah. She's like, you're not gonna see that here.
nope.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to actually see for yourself. Like talking about it's one thing,
Yeah.
but like when you go there, yes,
Yes.
it's a large city of college kids, and I think there and again you find the few people like yourself
Yeah.
and like my friend Austin who are a part of Penn State, but don't care for the culture, and you feel isolated.
Yeah, you know, Penn State's biggest rival is Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and coincidentally, I'm an Ohio State fan, right?
Oh.
Yes,
man.
yes. All right, so there's I'm gonna go like a small little tangent of the story over it, but like I wear a hoodie, right? I didn't know I was wearing my Ohio State hoodie up there, so I went up there, drove up there with friends, like, cause we carpooled.
Oh god.
And he's like,
Terrified.
they're like, Andre, you gotta take off that hoodie. I was like, man, it's just a hoodie. Man, Birks doesn't care if I wear it, right?
Oh God.
Yeah.
We got to my friend's apartment. Not even like 2 minutes out of the car, like, because I'm getting my bag out of the trunk and like putting it on, everything. Hey, loser, why you wearing a Buckeye shirt here? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you better take that off or we throw eggs at you. I was like, what? And like I just see an egg just cross my, like almost hit my hoodie.
They
I was
just
like,
have eggs on hand.
On hand.
on hand. You think I'm joking? They do.
That's insane.
And I'm like, he's like, next one we're going to the hoodie. I was like, all right, fine. I take out the hoodie. Like, jeez, it's just all. They're like, yeah, man, we're at State College, man. We are. I was like, oh no.
It's stupid.
It's
but
really stupid.
When you have
95% of them
at
are
least
like 18 through 23.
are
or
like
something.
bleeding blue
Yeah.
and white, like they love Penn State, you're
Yeah.
pretty much the odd man out, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you're not gonna be able to turn to anyone, and like it all comes back to that idea of how
Your culture can just isolate you.
your culture can isolate you, and I don't know, I've always like appreciated my culture, because I mean, like, my mom's like traditional Italian woman, like makes the sauce, like a whole giant thing of sauce, a 12-pound lasagna on Christmas Day, like one time a year she will make lasagna. You'll never have lasagna at my house unless it's the 25th.
That's hilarious.
And
I guess I'm coming to the 25th.
yeah,
No,
oh
you're
my
like,
God, dude, we got plenty to spare. It is huge. And like, I've always appreciated it, but at the same time, like, there are things that my mom does, like, constantly, like, hovering over my shoulder, always, like, worried about me, lecturing me, like, constantly, just, like, on top of my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stand that. But over time, I've grown to appreciate the fact that, like, she's just kind of doing what she knows, and it's from a good intent, which matters. Because if you're up at Penn State and people are throwing eggs at you, your intent's way off. Like, yeah, you can hate Ohio State because you're at Penn State. You don't need to throw eggs at people.
Yeah.
Philly fans are the worst.
oh,
Philly fans are
don't
crazy,
get
too.
me started.
First time I ever went to a Flyers game, they were playing the Rangers, and we lost. And there's like a family of people, of Rangers fans celebrating, and like the mom and dad and kids are high-fiving. This dude out of nowhere punches the dad in the face in front of his kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
I'm a Giants fan, and like my friend was like, "Yo, let's go to the Eagles game." I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Right, bro? I wore my Giants jersey.
Oof.
Worst decision of my life.
Yeah.
Worst decision of my life. They were like, Andre, you kind of want to take that off. I was like, nah, I'm gonna bleed my team, man. This is my team,
Yeah.
right? You know.
I think you would have learned from the Ohio State hoodie, but
Come on, man. You know. But like,
He's not afraid to be who he is, even if that means getting egged.
But
I
like,
respect it.
I think the Eagles won that. I don't remember what game it was, but like they won, right? And I'm kind of butthurt, like, oh man, like Giants lost, right? This kid and his family, right? This like short little 5-year-old squeaker was like, yeah, we kicked your ass, all that. I look at the mom and I'm like, yo, is this your kid right now? Like, I could just punt him out like to like center field, right? And she's like, yeah. F the Giants and all that. I'm like, yo, okay, let me look at the dad for like reinsurance, and the dad was like, yeah, bro, I'm like, see, this is not how
Tripled down.
like this is okay, like
there's so much subculture, right?
Yeah.
Like you have United States, and then you got one state in the United States, and then you got one city, and then you got those people in that city that like that football team, and
then within the same state, you have another city that likes a different football team.
But then there are states that don't have a football team.
Yeah.
well, I guess I'm just
Like New Jersey, like you could be a Giants fan, you could be a
Ah,
Jets
that's
fan, you could be a
Yeah,
Philly
that's
fan.
we don't
I
talk
guess
about Jets.
we don't
fan.
Or Jets,
They're garbage
New York.
anyway.
Jets is they say the same
it is
for
New
as the
York.
Giants.
I know they have the same stadium. I just wasn't sure if like the
We
Jets
just don't
were
rep them like Staten
New
Island.
Jersey and the
well,
Giants.
like, do you think being on the football team was like, well, I mean, probably it was like a certain culture, and then because of that, did it affect the way you handle mental health? Because everyone was like, oh, guys, muscle, like
Cross country and track does
don't
that.
feel.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
Cross country and track. too.
one of the
Yes.
reasons why, and
as soon as Derek done, I get mine.
yeah, like one of the main reasons why I quit wrestling and why I initially quit football is because I'm just not programmed to be like a group follower or like a group thinker. Like for me, I absolutely cherish my individuality, and when it's threatened, I go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, I mean, like, okay, so I got this back injury, and I'm like really hurting every single day just to like stand and sit. And you know those chairs, the stools that you get in chemistry class where like it's a high table and you're like sitting on the stool.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So my back's killing me and I have no support. So I'm like crying in chemistry class. And then I go to physical therapy, or I go to the trainers at the end of the day, and coach comes in and he's like, when are you going to stop being such a pussy? Every single day. For like 4 days. And I was finally like, I'm quitting. Like, I don't care about your stupid little clique. I don't care about your culture that, you know, you're building here or whatever. I understand that it makes you great.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's kind of the sacrifice I made, is like I wasn't a good wrestler because I didn't assimilate to the culture of it. But I am who I am today, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was like for not cross country and track, but like James, you did track, I believe. So yeah, but like when we did cross country, it was like you knew there was a division, like not just because of a skill set, you know there was like a sub, like there was levels to everything.
Yeah, there were like these little social groups.
Like social groups,
Yeah.
like. People used to hang out with that, they hang out with them at the end of the run and all that, and like, you know,
It's not a team thing. It's like cliques within the team.
Cliques, and I hated that because like, I love my XC team, I love it, but like you could just see the separation of it, and then when I did track my senior year, right, that's when like the family really like hit. I was like, okay, these are my brothers. Like I'm gonna ride with them, and like. Coach, Coach Allen took me under the wing as well.
Alan's great.
Allen, great guy. He took me under his wing. He was like, all right, Andre, if anybody hurts you, if you're not feeling it, just let me know. I'm not going to force you into it. So, like, I had bad knees. And he's like, how you feeling? I was like, I think I can run another 8. He's like, I think you're going to rest. I was like, but I can run another 8. He's like, don't let me repeat myself again. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's like opposite with football. They're like, you're gonna run.
Yeah, well, I mean, my coach, I'm not even gonna name. I'm not even gonna do it, but everyone knows the wrestling coach, and you know he's also a football coach and whatever. And like, I mean, okay, so like I quit the football team the year they won the state championship, and I can't prove it, but I feel like they always held that over my head. And yeah,
like, we won because you weren't here.
Well, no, just like you weren't here, so
we
don't care about you because you quit on us when, you know, we were winning a state title. So it's like, yeah, but I came back because I wanted to be with my brothers. Like I wanted to be with my teammates because even though we had our cliques, like football is one of those sports where like you suffer a lot during practice and during preseason. You're doing 2-a-days and you're spending 12 hours trying to do this. Yeah, 2-a-days. That's like a nightmare.
I remember those when I did. I actually did football in 7th grade at Wilson. And like 2-a-days. I was like, "What's 2-a-days?" And like, Andre, you never did football before. I'm like, "No." You know, did we like come back? And like, they're like, "Nah." You come in early in the morning. You take a small little nap, and then you come right back at the night. I was like, "This has to be illegal." And I hated 2-a-days so much. It just put strains in your body, and like people just break, and like some coaches don't understand that.
They don't have any regard for your mental health.
No,
they don't.
They don't
care.
And like I love Mr. Allen. Like he was like a dad to me basically, because like you know. We lived in the same area, but like he was like super close. I didn't know he lived that close.
It was down the street.
It was down the street. So like you know, sometimes I don't feel like going to practice on Saturday in the morning because you know I don't want to run. This guy used to knock on my door, and get my mom, and my mom was like, "Your coach is here." I was like, "Mr. Allen, why?" And he's like, "Come on, let's go." I was like, "All right."
That's cool though.
But like you gotta realize like when someone realizes like your mental health is at stake. That is the best person. They're like, hey, time out, bro.
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
Let's evaluate. Yeah.
Let's slow it down. Let's evaluate. Like everything's okay. I'm like, okay, yeah. And senior year of track was the best year because Mr. Allen was like, hey, yo, I understand. Like, cause I told him like, yo, I don't think college is like my route. And he's like, that's fine. I did put your name out for like some Division 3 and 2 schools. Just come visit them. I was like, okay. I went to go visit some of them, but none of them felt like home. And like the coaches was not like convincing to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, Mr. Allen, I'll be honest with you, those coaches really suck. They like I talked about like my health and all that. Like they just care about my numbers. Yeah, that's not the coach for you. So I ran at Penn State Berks. I did it for 1 year, and I loved my team. I love every single one of them. I didn't run my second or third year because I was like, okay, I'm just done. I'm not gonna do running anymore. Mm-hmm. But like, all of them cared about each other. Like we sucked at conference. Everybody had a bad race, and like everybody was down, and our coach knew that. And like on the bus ride, you know, the stigma is like if you lose a big race, you quiet on the bus. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My coach, like, because we had like hotels and everything, my coach like took us all out to eat, and she's like, "All right, guys, for nationals, because somehow we all qualify for nationals, we're gonna kill it and all that." I was like, Coach, there's no way we're gonna kill this race. Like, these are the top people in their division and their conference for a reason. I can't keep up with this guy and all that. And she told me, shut up, Andre. We're going to do it. Like, practice was not hard, but, like, practice was more fun. Like, she kind of, like, eased into it. And then when National hit, I ran my best race of my life. Mindset, right? And she's like, for the guys are 8Ks, right? So I was like, it was a completely, and, like, a fast 8K is, like, under 30 minutes. Or, like low 28, 25, and all that. I ran a 30-minute flat.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, crap, I just did that. And she's like, all right, see you next season? I was like, no. I'm done.
You're off on a good note.
I'm gonna end it on a good note. And then, like, the team, I still ran with the team and everything. Like, shout out to the girls team in 2017. They won conference. They got first. The guys got third.
Yeah.
And then next year, guys got first, girls got second. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come back my senior year. Nah, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, you know when you're done. I will admit, like, 9th grade, I didn't have the coach I was talking about for wrestling. I was still in, like, junior high. That's just the way they broke it up at school. And best coach I ever had, actually, is a police officer. Good, yeah. I think of him when I try to be hopeful towards law enforcement because he's genuinely a good guy. I actually let one of my teammates off for like speeding in the neighborhood the one time. It was just like, get home. Like, what are you doing? But when I fully trusted him and immersed myself in wrestling, I became the most athletic I've ever been. Like I ran like a 6:30 mile at 170 pounds. Like, I was in great cardiovascular shape and my, I was winning matches and competing and it felt amazing. So like to have mentors and leaders that exemplify what a good leader is really changed the whole mental state of the entire team.
Yes.
And I might have an opportunity to coach, be an assistant coach for the volleyball team at school this spring, barring, COVID allowing it and whatever. And I'm really looking forward to imparting that same sort of mentorship onto kids who are, 15 to 18.
I can't wait to be a coach.
That's
I coach.
Follow what makes you happy.
Yeah, I coach basketball when I was 19. Like people younger my age, like 10 and 12.
Yeah, like youth.
Yeah, youth. Mm-hmm. And like there's experienced people. Like when you see a person, like this person can be someone. But like just coaching them and like teaching them like just the basic fundamentals and everything. Everything comes in principle. But like the one thing I honed into is your mental health. Like if you're not like I literally like lined them up and everything. I was like, all right, guys, this is where we're going to learn today. We're not going to dribble a ball today. We're not going to shoot. We're not going to do ones. We're not going to do fives. We're not going to do full court. We're just going to talk about our problems and what can we improve on as a team. And they were like, wait, what? I'm like, you guys need to talk. Like, you guys, when you guys play, you guys talk and like everything. Communication is great. But as soon as the game is over, you guys don't even talk in the locker room. Like, they're like, oh, that. Like, guys, be happy. Like, you guys won. Like, okay. I understand. Killer mindset. all throughout. But like, bro, talk about it. Like, David, you did a good layup. Like, this kid, David, I'm gonna put it. He was 5'8", and he was 11. Now, yes, 5'8", yes, and now he's like 17 and 18 or something like that, and now he's like 6'5".
Oh my god!
And like he's just like loving the game because
awesome.
before he was like, I got forced into this sport.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, David, you can like pack your bags and leave. He's like, but my dad already like got like. I was like, listen, you're not doing this for revert all the way back from the beginning. You're not doing this for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this for you. Does it make you happy?
Yeah.
And he's like, honestly, no. And then I didn't see him for like a couple of weeks, and then he came back. I was like, yeah, what's up, David? He's like, I'm back. I was like, he's like, I talked to my dad. My dad understand. I like the sport. And then now 6'5", getting offers from D1 schools.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I credit my coach, Coach Lawson, like, for me to actually find the love of the game anymore. Like,
That's
again.
great.
And I was like,
Yeah, that's great to hear.
I was like, make sure you just sign my check right there. No.
I think when it came to volleyball, like, I mean, I'm 5'9", I'm not tall, and I was asked to sign up my freshman year, and I didn't really know what to expect. I knew I just like wanted something to do in the spring, and it seemed like fun. So I got there, and like, what really made it was the team dynamic. Like, our coach, he didn't really like understand the mental state of a team and how that affects play, but like, we as a team understood. And like, win or lose, we always had rap battles on the bus on the way home. I swear to God, it sounds super corny, but like,
That
you know,
brings bonding.
yeah, like, we had some dudes on the team who like got it going, like, just kind of put the idea out there, and next thing you know, like, our assistant coach is like writing a poem to rap to
Like, let me
to
get
us.
these
And,
bars
like,
real quick.
Yeah, they're all tagging along, and the bus driver's laughing at us, and like, yeah, we didn't. I mean, like, we made districts and counties, but the reason why we were so great as a team is because we had that chemistry, and it's built with
Caring for one another.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think sports is a great expression towards how your mental state can ultimately affect your performance in any aspect of life.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a great example.
I think we covered like an incredible amount of material.
Yeah.
We've been here for almost 2 hours now.
We started with 2 topics, we hit like 10.
I don't know. I mean, like, just care for yourself, care for other people, do what makes you happy, love yourself. I mean, your culture affects your mindset in levels that you can't even wrap your head around maybe at the time.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Deep-rooted.
you can always just shift your cultural experience, you know, like move to Canada or don't go to school in a place that makes you feel horrible. And, you know, it's not that cut and dry. It's not that simple. But just be mindful of your mental health and take care of yourself. And just to everyone out there, just take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So,
Respect what culture has imparted upon you,
yeah,
but at the same time, live your life how you deem fit
exactly.
and embrace who you are. I think that's the most important thing.
Entirely. So
Thank you again, Andre, for
Yeah.
being
Anytime.
on the podcast, man. We'd
Anytime.
love to have you back. That was a great
Okay.
conversation.
Yeah.
yeah, if you timeforanything.com, the new this episode title, obviously, timeforanything.com. We have our sources on there. We'll have a link to Andre's podcast. You should be able to find that very easily. Go check his stuff out. It's I like the one-on-one interview style of things. It makes it feel close and like I like that you dig into people and kind of get them to open up in ways that they might not. You know, when, like you said, when you're just sitting in the car talking,
Yeah.
you get to see a whole other side of them when you just sit them down and talk.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, any last words?
Just my favorite words. I always say it at the end of my podcast. Stay hungry, stay blessed. Until the next one, guys, I love you.
That's a great way to end it.
That's just it right there. That's it.
See you guys soon.
See you. That's awesome.
That was fucking awesome.